Jai Sri Narayan. Jai Sri Narayan. Jai Sri Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagat Guru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Narayan. I welcome those that are present here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that are watching this discourse locally, nationally and internationally. And I welcome those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted in the various groups from around the world subsequently. We continue in celebrating the month of the Ramanujans in this marathon Satsang, of which I have lost count. I think it's 22 days now that we've had Satsang every night. And this Satsang was interspersed with the hymns of the 12 Alvars, and we also introduced up to this point 11 of the 12 Alvars by paying obeisances to them. We also introduced Lord Sri Ramanuj on his birthday, and we have spoken about the Sri Sampradaya in general, and we have spoken about Swami Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj, my spiritual master and guide. We have spoken and interspersed these marathon satsangs with some of our personal experiences, personally, my family, and the ashram. So we have covered a diversified background coherently so that we could unpack the Vedic injunctions through the experiences of the Alvars, Lord Sri Ramanuj, my spiritual master Swami Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj, and our own experiences as disciples here at the Sri Narayan Dham. That includes myself and Mataji, the children, the devotees. The 12 Alvars ushered in the Bhakti movement from the end of Dwapara Yuga up until the 8th century. And this stream of devotion swelled and burst into a dam by the time Lord Sri Ramanuj came onto the scene, which I will explain in later discourses. However, today I would like to continue on yesterday's discussion on the nine dimensions prescribed for Bhakti Yoga. And I'm going to corroborate this with one of the 12 Mahajanas. Prahlad Maharaj is authorized as one of the 12 Mahajanas whom the Lord has given authority to speak on various aspects of the Vedas. So I'm taking this injunction from the Srimad Bhagavatam as translated by Swami Prabhupada, Canto 7, Chapter 5. And the translation reads as following. Prahlada Maharaja said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering praise to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend and surrendering everything unto him, in brackets, in other words, serving him with the body, mind and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Vishnu through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. And then, in my discourse last night, I enlisted, number 1, listening to the ancient texts of the Vedas, number 2, worshipping, 3, remembering teachings of ancient texts and the Lord, 4, serving the feet of the Lord, 5, deity worship, 6, bowing to the divine, 7, executing orders, 8, serving as a friend, and 9, complete surrender. So, I read in order last night, and I think number 2 and number 2 I stated worship and it is stated chanting. It is merely semantics, it means the same thing, worshipping through chanting or chanting through worship. There was a query and I've decided to answer to this query. We welcome queries from anyone, from any part of the world, as we are not only in our own group, we are in various groups. Our discourses are posted in various groups from around the world, and those that do not understand us, they have the right in a respectable way to query. And this query was done in the most respectful way. It came via Vishishtadvaita Ramanuj Das, For those of you that do not know, Vishishtadvaita Ramanuj Das is always caught in between a rock and a very hard place when it comes to understanding spirituality, because his mind is grooved in analysis. In the material world, he is head hunted for his analytical acumen. In fact, 2 years ago, he had an opportunity to venture overseas, and I stopped him, explaining to him that his service to the institution was more important than his material elevation, for he is quite comfortably taken care of by Lord Sri Ramanuj right here in South Africa. However, his mind is computed for analysis, and this is where him and I have our day. This is our Leela. So, Vishishtadvaita Ramanuj Das likes everything to work according to a spreadsheet. With given data, experience, and he liked to predict a result. Unfortunately, the Vedas do not work in that manner. The results of the Vedas are absolute. It cannot be predicted by any analyst or any analytical mind. Having stated the above, I also explained to Vishishtadvaita that this 9 steps is not cemented in a chronological order, as per the following reasons. The first step is listening to ancient texts of the Vedas. And I informed him that if one is deaf, then it would mean that he has no opportunity to perform Bhakti Yoga, because he cannot hear the ancient text of the Vedas. Then I informed him that chanting through worship, if one is dumb, who cannot speak, then it would mean that because somebody cannot speak, then it would be impossible for that person to chant and assimilate in the experience of bhakti to the Lord. I also informed him that if one was blind, then they would not appreciate the vision of the deity, the archa, vigraha, and the various paraphernalia that is associated with the Supreme Lord when we worship. So if these 9 steps were to be in order, cast in stone, then these three types of people would not be able to attain bhakti. And as we know, this is not the case. This 9 steps, although formatted in order, need not be experienced in order. One can completely surrender from the 9th mentioned dimension, which is complete surrender. One can serve as a friend, as Lord Sri Krishna was serving, as Arjuna was serving the Lord as a friend, and then when he realized who the Lord really is, he surrendered as a disciple. And I've been consistent in this marathon satsang and throughout my 6.5 years of discoursing that I never had the opportunity to hear the Vedas from anybody. I did not go to Gurukul. I am South African, and in the Satsangs that we went to, there was only songs on the divine. So I did not hear the Vedas. I heard the praise of the divine, and through hearing the praise of the divine, I surrendered to the divine. After surrendering to the divine, I became self-realized. And through the process of bhakti, which only comes after self-realization, bhakti yoga only takes its effect after self-realization. Bhakti yoga is a very deep topic, and I've stated that the entire Vedas ultimately lead to bhakti. All of the Vedic injunctions ultimately lead to bhakti. The 4 Vedas, the Puranas, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, Valmiki's Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and all the Dharma Shastras, in a nutshell, all of these bring one directly to bhakti. Shravan? I want to quote another text and I'll spell it. It's from the Upanishads. Sveta. Sveta. Taro. Panisad. Svetas Vataro Upanishads. Svetas Vataro Upanishad, chapter 6. And I'll read slowly. By the efficacy of his austerity and by the grace of God, in brackets, Deva Prasada, close brackets, the wise Svetasvatara, Svetasvatara, in proper manner declared Brahman, capital Brahman, to the ascetics, ascetics, of the most advanced stage as the supreme means of purification. This, which is well pleasing to the company of seers, full stop. Next verse. The supreme mystery in the Vedas end, in brackets, Vedanta, comma, which has been declared in former time, comma, should not be given to one not tranquil, comma, nor again to one who is not a son or a pupil. Full stop. Next sentence, next verse. To one who has the highest devotion, in bracket, Bhakti, for God, comma, and for his spiritual master, brackets, Guru, even as for God, comma, to him these matters which have been declared become manifest. In brackets, if he be, close brackets, a great soul, in brackets, Mahatman. Dash, Y-E-A, comma, become manifest, in brackets, if he be, close brackets, a great soul. So Bhakti Yoga is a process that can be entered from any of the 9 dimensions. It comes immediately after self-realization. And self-realization means one practically living as the soul. One practically living as the soul, not as the body. Self-realization means one who practices his life whilst inhabiting his material body as living as the soul. So I've also been consistent in stating that the Vedas cannot be researched or by-hearted. The Vedas cannot be researched or by-hearted. It has to be revealed. And the Lord reserves the right to reveal the Vedas to whom he thinks is qualified to receive this revelation. I've also been consistent in stating that the Vedas are an authority on its own. It has not been penned by any individual since time immemorial. It is eternal. The Vedas has been compiled by the Supreme Lord, and the Vedas have been enacted by the Supreme Lord. And up to this point in our marathon Satsang, I have stated that the supreme devotees of the Lord has taken their birth as the 12 Alvars to teach us this ultimate science of Bhakti Yoga. The Lord does not trust man to formulate his own opinions or philosophies, because man suffers from illusion. Man has a propensity to cheat, and man makes mistakes. It is for these reasons that God Himself gives us all of the Vedic injunctions. So there can be no misinterpretation, and we can receive it in its absolute dimension. So I want to repeat that Bhakti Yoga, as delineated in the 9 steps, need not be in chronological order for evolution purposes. One can come from any dimension. When one achieves and masters any one of these dimensions, then a few of these other dimensions, through natural order, merges through the dimension that he came. So at any given time, one person may experience between 4 or 5 of the dimensions, depending on his capacity or incapacity. I'm going to pay my obeisances now to the 12th Alvar. And I'll spell his name. Thiru, T-I-R-U, M-A-N-G-A-I. Thirumangai Alvar, A-L-V-A-R. And we pay our obeisances as follows. I take refuge in Kalyan, K-A-L-I-Y-A-N, who was born in the month of Kartika, K-A-R-T-I-K-A, in brackets, November-December, under the influence of the asterism Kartika, in brackets, 3rd stellar mansion, close brackets, as an incarnation of Sri Vishnu's bow, Sharanga, S-H-A-R-N-G-A, comma, and who was the crest jewel among the poets, accomplished in 4 kinds of poetry, and the composer of 6 prabandhams, P-R-A-B-A-N-D-H-A-M-S. Jai Sri Narayan.